Welcome to Executives at the Edge, the podcast from Mplify. Each episode features insights from the top network, cloud, and technology executives, giving you key takeaways to help you grow your revenue and bring solutions to market faster. I'm your host, Pascal Menezes. Join me as we explore thought-provoking perspectives from the leaders and changemakers propelling the AI-powered digital economy forward.
Today, we're taking you to the GNE 2025 MainStage to share a forward-looking keynote from Mplify CTO Pascal Menezes. Pascal looks ahead to 2026, sharing how AI, automation, and sovereignty are reshaping network as a service and what that means for the industry. Let's listen in.
This is such a great event. I'll put my water here. So I really think GNE is being such a spectacular event. And today, AI is transforming everything we know. And I absolutely, from my career, I've never seen anything like it. 40 years in the industry, been through everything, the internet and so on. But what I've seen in AI is absolutely mind-blowing. So I'm sure you all agree. So let's just get through it. I'm going to cover some very, very key topics. You hear from the panel. I think there's some really great opportunities for what we're doing in Mplify to really make an impact in the industry. So you think about connectivity, it's really the foundational layer for AI, and we're going to go through that. We'll talk about automation. Automation is very, very critical because without the automation, you just don't have networks that adapt in today's environment. And finally, we'll cover cybersecurity and some really new revenue opportunities in sovereign AI. So let's get through it. I don't need to talk about the game changer. The amount of money pouring into AI is absolutely incredible. I've never seen it in the history of in my career, and it is mind-blowing. And I think this is a huge opportunity for every one of our members to capitalize, utilize that, because there's money flowing into every area to make AI. And AI is important for many reasons. Every country sees it as a very, very strategic initiative into basically their survival. And so the world is completely transforming to AI. The thing that has really changed is we've gone from generative AI, well, from ML to generative AI, and that was very cool, and I thought that's amazing. But this agentic realm is beyond crazy. You want to have swarms and swarms of agents, as much as the apps you have on your cell phones and apps on your desktops. We're going to have agents doing all kinds of things. And these agents will work together in swarms and do all these magical things that we need them to do, very, very precise things, talk to other agents, and they'll do the workflow. Of course, they'll also augment, interact with us human beings. But this actually puts a tremendous change on the networks as we know it. And the networks will have to be secure, they have to be automated, they have to be elastic and programmable, and basically and high quality, of course, and high speed. So this is really important. What I want to cover is 4 major themes that we decided on the board yesterday in the TAB, Technology Advisory Board, and the Enterprise Leadership Board. We have a very great leadership team. And we finally came to this decision that we really need to focus, as you heard from Debica, Frank, and Daniele, on what is it for our members, how are they going to basically monetize off this great revolution. And there's 4 really major themes. I'll cover them: connectivity for AI, automation for AI, cybersecurity for AI, and sovereign AI. So let's start with connectivity. I think the first time the toll bridge for AI is transports, it's connectivity. And that's why you're going to see in the sovereign AI section, many countries going to their incumbent telcos and saying, you are my sovereign AI infrastructure, we're funding you, and I'll cover that more. But basically, the takeaway from all kinds of transports, it's the foundational layer. It's the glue that makes AI happen. So this is an incredible opportunity for all our members who've come from the carrier Ethernet transport days and continues to now be very, very relevant. The second thing is we're seeing that the models have to be synchronized. They have to be kept replicated, up to date. And there's wavelengths are used for one thing, for very large models across large data centers. And basically these foundational models, wavelengths does a lot of great things. It's got determined bandwidth. They can speed to very, very large speeds. and it has a cost. But there's also an opportunity for carrier Ethernet. So it coexists, complements the idea that during this data center interconnect for smaller models within the enterprise that wants to go in and do some data with private training, it basically has opportunity. And carrier Ethernet is connected all over the world with ENIs. You can get to anything, so you don't have to put a network-to-network interface in place. It's already there. And it already has the ability to do 10 gigabits per second, but 100 gigabits is very common, 400 gigabits coming out. And it has, even though statistical in nature, it can do deterministic capabilities. You have a committed information rate that will guarantee you. It has performance, fault. It's got all the great things that you get from optical transport network, OTNs, and wavelengths. So a great two different technologies used for two different parts of what needs to be done. So very complementary. Finally, models have to be able to talk to the peripherals. Now we've done some tremendous work in our on-demand connectivity. For IP broadband, obviously, DIA, that's a given, but we also did carrier Ethernet over broadband and DIA. So we guarantee on carrier Ethernet over broadband DIA that you can look at faults, performance, cost of services, very, very good. So think about these models have to be, they're the eyes, they're the ears of these models, these peripherals. So they have to come together. And this inference that's going to happen, whether it be the edge or some region, needs to connect. And NaaS, the ability of a network that's an automated, programmable, is going to be very, very important. So very, very important aspect of the whole journey of AI. And finally, you're going to hear a lot about our carrier Ethernet certification for AI. I'm not going to cover it in detail, but it covers both the traditional, the ELAN and E-tree we've been doing. It has very strict performance guidelines and so on for AI, but also for broadband. I told you the carrier Ethernet broadband from LEO satellites to 5G to GPONs, you can still use carrier Ethernet. So this is very, very powerful. We developed that over a couple of years for standardization. Now we're going into the payloads to make the automation work and then certification. So this is all very, very powerful stuff. So the takeaway, transport or connectivity for AI is fundamental. It's the glue, and I think you're going to hear this over and over. Automation, you do not go, and this is what we decided in the board, we're going to talk about short-term things that we know we can do really well, and then medium-term things, and then long-term things. So the transport was the short-term, and this automation, we've been doing 10 years of automation, and we're going to keep doing that. And what you can take away is we've been working in this east-west direction, tying the ecosystem together in an automated way between enterprises, the providers, and the wholesale ecosystem. And agents, those little squiggly things in the boxes are agents working together, but agents will work across also the different provider ecosystem. But that has to happen. Before that happens, there has to be this idea of trust. And trust has to have authentication, authorization, policy, fingerprinting, auditing. All that stuff is emerging. You're going to see identity providers delivering this. You're going to see decentralized models we're working on also in standards and potentially offering to our members. They have different benefits, but bottom line is that for this agentic realm and models to interact and basically make the workflow flawless in AI, these are the things that have to happen. And they're happening. You're going to see announcements happen this year to make this all happen. So while this is a little more a future direction, we're still going to use APIs and machines. We're going to see the agentic realm and the AI realm come in very, very rapidly. So stay tuned. Now, what we've been doing in automation is very powerful. And this analogy is really, really critical because for over the last 10 years, we split off the APIs, which is what you consider transports, to the actual services, which we call payloads or the schemas. And so you can think of them as shipping containers. You pack in your data, you transport over a ship, you transport over a train, you transport on a truck. It doesn't matter, they're transports. But at the end, you take out all your data. And that's kind of what we've done with our polymorphism, technically, over the last decade, working off TM Forum APIs that really we matured them. We've actually taken on this approach. And what this looks like is our APIs are very powerful. They're transports, think of them as transports, and we've spent a decade, millions of dollars with your members' money to make these things happen. Massive adoption, very, very proud of the work we've done. And it gives the full life cycle from A to Z, from everything from an address to quote, to ordering, to performance fault, troubleshooting, billing, the full life cycle. And it's interoperable in the east-west direction. So very, 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 very stringent descriptions about how these APIs have to work. So very, very powerful. However, we don't need to invest anymore. We're come to the end of this except for maintenance. And where all of our assets and is moving towards is these payloads. These payloads are the things that containers I talked about. And they are representing for different parts of our NaaS, carry Ethernet, IP, SD-WAN, SASE, wavelengths. They represent all different kinds of payloads or containers that you're packing into. And that's really what we've been building now. And we're going to spend an enormous amount of energy building this because you're going to see in the AI world, this is critical. I'm going to show you this shortly. Additionally, you can see the reds are standardized, the blues are in pre-standards, we're already available to start playing around in our marketplace, and the orange we're working on. But additionally, we're going to take all those assets, all our standards, all our guides, all our schemas, all our assets, and we're going to put it into a bundle that's very AI friendly. And it's really what you call a JSON resource that will flow across this AI ecosystem. And I'm going to go that in the next slide, what we call MCP and A2A. And this is going to be very powerful because now you don't have, as agents, they don't have to take the spec and the guide and try to figure it all out. We already package it in a way that's very AI friendly. So that's a big takeaway, and that's coming up. We're already prototyping, we'll be shipping this way. So it's not a lot of work we have to do, we just got to repackage it. So this is a very interesting slide because what it talks about is basically how the AI world works. AI, agents, models will not integrate anybody's API. What they do is they take the opposite view. They say, if I want to talk to anything out of the world, any system, then you guys, these systems, the world has to implement a wrapper, a server that represents your APIs so that agents, models can talk to it. Because we're not going to take and integrate APIs every time we have to do an update to our models or agents. We're not going to update APIs for that. So what this works is, think of MCP, Model Context Protocol, as the way of wrapping out an API from all the operations of that API into a programming language called methods, which every programmer knows what a method is. And agents also do that, and also models. So they discover what's on those servers, what they call the methods, which is the operation of the APIs. But watch what happens is that from an agent or model to the actual system through a server, the actual payload of the container that goes across those transports is an actual payload, or what we call a DSL. So that's why we're focusing so much on that. It's the language of carry Ethernet. It's the language, like we're talking English, a common language. It's the language of all the various NaaS services, and that is what we're delivering to our members to be able to make it very, very AI friendly. So this is a very important piece of work and very powerful. I also want to announce that we spent years making the idea of network APIs, not just wireless, but wireless and wired. So now we have the ability for developers to be able to go in and say, I want to interact with a network, program it or interact, get information from it as an application. And I can do it not only for wireless network, for wired networks. So things like QoD, quality on demand. There are many use cases where networks are not just wireless, they're wireless and wired. And we've finally got an agreement. We're in the club of all the people playing in network APIs, and Mplify will be doing the fixed asset parts of this, and it's very powerful. So you can see we have a tremendous assets from API that will be used in this collaboration, and in the dark blue you'll see that's the assets that are maturing to be AI. And I actually believe that the Chimera and network APIs will move to a very agentic model where developers are building agents that will interact and the agents will have the Chimera APIs. So stay tuned. Henry, the head of GSMA, is here today and tomorrow. I hope he made it in last night. He'll be speaking. He's got sessions. You can always reach him. And if you need to get a hold of him, just contact our administrators on the front desk. They can help you reach him. And he's the head of this whole GSMA for networking. So very powerful. Finally, we're updating our tool systems to basically make it more AI friendly. So the blue boxes, I talked about the DSLs, domain-specific languages. We're going to take that, do that, no easy. We're going to have an MCP server for reference architecture so that anybody who wants to build an MCP server can actually go take the reference that we've designed, look at it, make sure the APIs map right, make sure the resources of the payloads go across right. And so you can build MCP servers and for your own environments, whether it's a company, of a vendor, or of your provider. And then eventually we'll be able to tie and test that and certify that into our established, what we call our OIT, which is basically our test and certification platforms. So this will all flow through, and this will be coming up very shortly in 2026. So this is very powerful. So again, Mplify is AI ready, getting AI ready for all of our assets, very, very powerful for the NaaS. And this represents our certification roadmap. As you can see, we already have our APIs being certified. We're putting payloads here for 2026. And we'll also add in all the MCP and the DSL aspects. All of this will be part of the 26 journey of certification. As you know, certification is critical. It takes all our assets, all our resources, and puts it in a way that says, does it work? Is it interoperable on the ecosystem? Does it provide confidence on implementation? So very powerful. Certification is critical. So I got just 4 minutes left, so I'll move really fast. These are the more longer-term things we're going to be doing in Mplify. The medium term is cybersecurity. We launched our cybersecurity SASE for certification, SD-WAN, SSE, Zero Trust, and SASE certification last year at GNE. And we're going to uplift all of that into what AI is going to need. AI needs to make sure that all the workloads of AI are classified correctly. For SD-WAN to work, for SSE to work, it has to classify these workloads right. The second thing is the policies that I talked about, Zero Trust policies have to be there because you have to think about authentication, authorization, fingerprinting, auditing, all these things that have to be part of a world of agents working together. And finally, threats, models, agents, they themselves could have threats embedded in them, just like software can. So we have to scan those agents, we have to scan the models, and that's going to be important, and give an assessment. And then finally, we have to segment agents from models so that an agent doesn't go rogue and do something really disastrous to one part of a system that is very, very critical to the business. So this is coming from our technology advisory boards. We're building all of the SASE products. I've met with them all. They already have products in market to do all of this, so very, very powerful. And we're just going to lift all of this in our certification over the coming 2026 plus. And I think the other part of this is quantum safe networking. In the post-quantum era, networks have to be secure because everything we know about encryption goes away. The AES 512, 256, 512 we've been using for IP tunnels, for SSL, for MACsec, for OTNs, can be in one second be decoded, which normally would take hundreds of years because of quantum computers. So quantum safe networking is going to be mandated across countries. We're going to focus, and we already have a project on this, we're going to focus on the ENNIs between networks to make sure quantum safe network works across the transports, carry Ethernet, and so on. And this is very powerful. The work's already happening, and we'll eventually get to certification. So this, again, is a very critical area. Now, the long term is very, very powerful. Sovereign AI is massive. As I talked about, it's the first time telcos around the world, the governments are coming to them and saying, you own all the assets, all the fiber, all the wireless spectrums. I need you to be our AI infrastructure of the world, of my country. And so they're funding it with large amounts, billions and billions and billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars. And that means there's a huge opportunity to be part of that that drive. And it breaks down to two aspects: GPU as a service and model as a service. And in GPU as a service, enterprises in countries wants to say, hey, I want to train my models, and it's my data, and I don't want to leave the country. So give me a training capabilities. And when I build my model, I want to be able to infer it and be able to use it at some part in the country so for my customers to use. So that's an inference part. That is a huge opportunity in the sovereign AI world. The other part is models in that country will be built by that country, for all kinds of use cases: smart cities, smart warehouses, but also government aspects and all the government policies and all that, and languages and all that stuff will be very much a sovereign AI. And that's a huge opportunity also. So what we're looking at is we have a standard that talks about how edge compute works today for CPU. We're going to evolve that to GPU and define all the GPU properties of tensor cores and clock speeds and so on, and take those attributes and build out these specific payloads or DSLs, agent-friendly, for product services on OEM. So this is really part of the longer-term view of what we're going to be doing inside Mplify. And this was board approved. And so this is really the journey I'm showing you from the short, medium, and long term of what Mplify will do in the next couple of years. So Stan has done a great market brief on about all of this. I hope you guys download it. I'm not sure if it's available now or where it's available on our website, but I'm sure you can find it or you can ask and we'll get to you. So with that, I want to thank you. A little bit over time, but I didn't get the hook, so I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Executives at the Edge, brought to you by Mplify. Be sure to follow, share, and leave a review. Catch every episode on your favorite platform or visit us at mplify.net.